Really? All right, so for those that have watched my channel, you know what this is. Those that have not or have no idea because of slow notification and circulation by YouTube, we built this configuration, I want to say, about 3 or 4 months ago. It's called an alpha tent. It's basically those tent poles with electrical caps that you use for the wiring, all placed into the corner grommets of a military poncho, and it creates this pop-up tent. This is nothing new. I filmed that video about 3 months ago, 4 months ago. Here's what the thumbnail looks like right here. So if you haven't seen that video, please check it out. We talk about the history of this shelter. This configuration right here dates back to the mid-1990s and possibly even before that. We talk about how it came to be, and I show you an in-depth tutorial how to make this yourself or do it yourself from these tent poles and electrical caps. And both those are available on my Amazon influencer page, and that link is in my video description box. So we have this pop-up right here. The intent is to have a fire in front of me. We didn't talk through the video because we're going to save that for this evening. We got some nice ghost stories around the campfire. Those that seen the title, Missing 411, it's honestly no joke. That's something that I've been seeing lately. Started investigating it for myself, and I thought, you know, there's something going on here that we need to get out there to the public. So once we get the fire going tonight, we'll talk about that. In the meantime, let's get a fire ring and then some chow. One large misconception about fire rings. People think that using a fire ring prevents a fire. Well, here's the reality. All it does is prevent coals from rolling around away from the fire area, rolling onto you or onto dry leaves somewhere else and causing a fire. If I got 3-foot flames coming off this and it blows over here, the ring did nothing. So got to exercise some type of common sense when you do this stuff and understand the hows and whys, not just go off what somebody told you. So this shelter is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Being that we have a dome, sort of like a turtle shell, this alpha tent is actually trapping that heat. It's actually hot right here. And that fire is a full step away. The campfire ring, as stated before, is going to hold the coals in there and keep them from rolling out into dry brush and debris. It's also going to go around that rock that we placed in the center, superheating that rock so we can cook on it. And there's our rock ring trapping our coals, just like we said, leaving our exposed rock. We'll clean that off here in a minute. Ribeye is cooked on a rock, caveman style. Nothing but the best, baby. All right, let's go ahead and do some business really quick. Tonight we have a serious discussion, something I want to get into. I want to state just the facts on that and then give my opinion. And it's something that should be addressed, and people with platforms should be addressing it. Now, it's going to be different than the normal videos that I do, so I want to go ahead and do the usual stuff right now because some won't want to watch, some will turn it off, and it will fall on deaf ears. On that note, we have 100 Corporals Corner cold handle skillets dropping right now. Go to my Etsy store, that link is in my video description box. Along with these, we have a few folders, as well as the pipe nub skillet. It comes with a wing nut and a hole already drilled. All you gotta do is insert that stick, lock it down, and you have a true cold handle until you decide to take it, toss it into the woods, and pack your pan away. The folder is the exact same size as this, but allows for that folding handle. It's a space saver. And this one right here is my pride and joy. Once again, it's the Corporals Corner cold handle skillet. We got 100 dropping right now. Click on the Etsy store in my video description box and get her done. Look at that right there. Catch you all in a few. Missing 411. Those that are not familiar with that, simply Google Missing 411 or go to YouTube and simply type Missing 411. And you're going to see tons of videos. After you weed through all the BS, which is mostly just regurgitated information, you're going to see a guy named David Paulides, and I hope I'm pronouncing his last name properly. David Paulides. He's a retired investigator. I forget what state he was from. But he did his time, retired, and then it was brought to his attention, and I forget exactly how, but he started looking into missing persons cases that involved state parks, wildlife areas, places like Yellowstone, all over the country. And there were thousands. And at first he thought, okay, well, there's animals out there. You got bear attacks. You got wolves in certain places. You got animals. People slip and fall in the ravines, creeks, things like that. So not too unusual, right? And it ranges from 2-year-old kids all the way up to the elderly. So he was still intrigued by the amount and the fact that nothing was being done about it. It wasn't brought to the public's attention. So he thought, you know what, I'm retired. I'm going to look into this. First thing you want to do is you want to weed out all the BS. And that's exactly what he did. He looked at it and said, okay, anything to do with animal attacks. So we started reading through the reports there and said, okay, the reports, 80% of these have nothing to do with animals. Okay, I'm going to look at those. They find blood on trails. They find bones that are gnawed on. They find clothes with blood stains on them. Clearly an animal attack. Okay, so we'll get rid of that. Then we want to look at any type of depression, suicidal thoughts, mental illness in his family, things like that could have driven people to go out in the woods and basically kill themselves. So we're going to eliminate those ones. We're going to focus on the ones where they either disappeared and were never found again, or they disappeared and their bodies turned up somewhere, meaning a long time afterwards, 2, 3, 4 years later. So he started focusing on those. And what he found was just horrible. Several state parks all across the country, in Canada, and then eventually he opened it up to worldwide. They're in the thousands, okay? And it's not cases like, we're going to send little Johnny 2 miles back to the car to go get, a Snickers bar, and he never came back. Okay, well, it could have been abducted, could have been mauled by a mountain lion. It was cases where people were in a group, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people, walking on a trail, and either got ahead of the group, or they fell behind the group. People turned around and saw them, turned back around, walked about 4, 5, 6 steps, for 10, 15 seconds, turned around again, and they were gone. Or they were just talking to that person. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Turn like this, look back, they're gone. Long story short with all this, that's why I want you to go ahead and go on YouTube and look up David Paulides, and actually he goes way in depth on this, how they separated all the other cases to just specifically cases like this. It's really, really cool to see his thought process and what he actually did to separate these. But they were all cases, something to do with that, where they went into the woods, never came out, they were never found, or they found clothing, no blood on them. Some cases the clothing was folded, sitting there on rocks. And here's the worst part, okay? Most of these bodies never turned up until 2 or 3 years later. And they found remains, or they found bodies floating in the water 2, 3, 4 weeks later. And the coroners and the park rangers are like, hey, he drowned in the water. No water in his lungs. Just like people who murder individuals in a house and set it on fire. They check them. Oh, look, no smoke inhalation. So that means they were killed first. So going through all the deductive reasoning and pulling these cases apart, what it came down to was people were disappearing, and if their bodies were found, there was no cause of death. Okay, you see where I'm going with all this? See how he moved all this stuff around? So these number in the thousands. And what piqued my interest with this is I live in Ohio, And I think Gala County, I think that's how you pronounce it, several years ago, 2020, I think, or 2019, a guy went missing. And I heard about this. And he was missing for 3 years. They found his car, and it was in some wildlife area. They searched the whole area, brought in dogs. People searched it. They found nothing. 3 years go by. They find his remains a few hundred yards from his car. Now, you could say that's shoddy police work. And it could be. People are lazy in every department around the world, no matter what you do. People are people. But when you bring in cadaver dogs that can smell, 6, 7, 8 feet in the ground, and they search, they find nothing, then it turns up 3 years later, right by the vehicle, something's not right, okay? And that's how a lot of these stories go, and that's what it piqued my interest, because one, it hit home right where I live at, and that's fishy to me. But it's happening all over the world, and I camp outdoors. I have for years, and so now I'm thinking, this is not safe. Now, I know some people are going to say, well, it's just a couple guys running around out there, they're serial killers, and it's a team, they're doing this stuff. Cool, okay, maybe it is. But again, no tracks were found, no animal tracks were found, no blood was found, and now we're leaning towards, the type of predator type stuff. It's like, I weigh 225, and if somebody's going to kill me and try and drag my body through the woods, there's going to be drag marks, okay? There's going to be indication of broken branches. If you kill a child and got to put a child over your arm or your back that weighs, 40, 50 pounds, you're going to carry that out of there for multiple miles and do this thousands of times across the United States. That's why I'm leaning towards something else is going on here, So I pose this question, what do you guys think? What do you think's going on there? Drop some comments in the comment section and let me know, because, looking at the evidence, how it's presented, and how this guy goes through everything, he's got several books out as well. It's just really fascinating how he separated everything, and there truly is no answer. Okay, let's leave Bigfoot out, let's leave aliens out. We already left out animals, serial killers, people. You're not left with a lot. Okay, in a few minutes here, we're going to talk about what I think. Okay, but I just want to bring that to your attention. A lot of people are talking about this. Not a lot of people are offering solutions, but we'll get to that. Now, one thing I left out, and I'll briefly mention this, is that David Paulides has tried to get permission from several state parks to go in there and film and retrace steps and look around, and they won't let him. He's also filed several permits and paperwork to try to get the documents released as to the investigation of several of these cases, and they won't give it to him. He's also been approached by several people that used to work for Park Ranger Services, and they've told him that everybody's aware of what's going on, but no one wants to talk about it. Police officers have told him the same thing. So in his research, he's traced this back to the mid to late 1700s, and it's happened, in my opinion, probably several hundreds of thousands of times. Let's look back at history. One in our own country, the Roanoke situation, right? Everybody disappears. Certain civilizations around the world just upped and left. They found that, looks like there's food on the table, there's stuff sitting inside the buildings, and everybody's just gone. Where'd they go? There's a lot of things going on this planet that people don't want to talk about, that you're shunned if you do. And I try and stay away from, for obvious reasons. But it just leads you down these paths of, you've eliminated everything, even human beings, because there's no tracks. People are hindering investigations, what's left? Now, I will say, for the record, I am not suicidal at all. And I am not depressed or suffer from depression at all. And if something were to happen to me, just like Epstein, Corporal didn't kill himself. Most likely I was Hillary Clinton in the woods. So, just be aware that I'm stating it right here, right now, because what I'm going to talk about next, no one has talked about, and, you know, who knows what's going to happen. The old 3-in-1 strong. All right, so I got my phone here because I don't want to mess any of this information up. This is all common knowledge, and in my opinion, might be something to look into, that we're going down these paths of what could be happening to these people. Again, it's all common knowledge. It's all public knowledge. It's all over YouTube. It's all over Google. But to my knowledge, no one's actually brought this up in these cases yet. And I could be wrong, but it's something to think about, okay? Now, let's go back to 2012-ish, okay? NASA's putting satellites out, and they work with different professors from universities and things like that to come up with different equations and possibilities. How can we get a satellite to go around the sun, or come up to here, go around, shoot around the planet and do this, and see over here when we can't get over here? How do we trick the thing into actually looking at this, and what do we do? So they hire professors and, you know, astrophysicists and things like that to solve these problems, you know, for them. Now, the University of Iowa, there's a guy named Jack Scudder, and this is what he looks like right here. And again, a lot of this stuff isn't presented this way. You have to read between the lines, put two and two together, and sometimes it's not what is said, it's what isn't said. Okay, think about that. Now, Jack Scudder from the University of Iowa, 2012, he was looking at data, and he proposed a theory that the sun and the Earth's magnetic field, we all know that stuff passes through there. That's why you get those green aurora borealis lights and things like that. We already know all this, okay? But what he was trying to say was there might be some type of system where it opens up to allow these things through, these particles. And 2012-ish, we weren't all high-tech in the Avengers yet, and, you know, we weren't all gung-ho on multiverse and portals and things like that, but he proposed that there were portals that would open up in the Earth's magnetosphere to allow a path or passage from the surface of the sun through our magnetic field onto our planet. And in 2012, they proposed, hey, let's make some satellites, and launch them in 2014. There's 4 satellites to go around and actually look for these things. But we have no idea what we're looking at or what we're looking for. We're just hoping that it happens where we're at. So going through all the equations, he figured out that there were actual markers, stop signs. There were indications when these things would open and close. And there's hundreds of thousands of these opening all day, every day. Some are tiny, the size of a pinhead. Some are huge. And it allows passage through there. Now we fast forward to 2014. NASA's mission's called MMS. And the point of it was to look for these indicators, these markers, and measure the size of these openings and when they occur and where they occur. Do they open in the same place all the time? Do they open in random spots? How many of them can we detect? So since 2014 until now, 4 satellites have been in orbit watching these things. Okay? They called them X points. So Google X point or X points or Jack Scudder X points. Go on YouTube, simply type in X point portals on Earth, and you're going to get the actual NASA files where you can actually watch it and their little diagrams showing what they're looking for and what they're doing. Okay? Now, here's my theory. And I'm not a scientist, I'm not an astrophysicist, but if these portals are opening above our planet, allowing passage through here, and things are coming in here to interfere with our atmosphere, some are going to be, you know, dissolved, some cause the reaction in the atmosphere, and some are passing through here. Okay? Now, what if, you know, and this is hypothetical, but what if all these spots around the world in the clusters that they just keep happening are random minute portals that are here on the surface that are landing everywhere? We can't see them, but they're there. Okay? And then let's take it a step further. We have all this weather probes going on. We have the HARP, and we have all these weather experiments going on at the same time. And we have the CERN trying to open up doorways and dimensional gates and things like that. During all of this research, Jack Scudder and others discovered that these X points are basically portals that go directly to the surface of the sun. Okay? It takes you right there. It's a direct path. Boom. Okay? However fast you're going to go. Boom. Now, what if some of these have turns in them that go somewhere else? Now we're talking about the Stargate situation. Okay? You see how this works? And this is all mathematically possible and proven. And all that data is there as well. So let's take it a step further. If these things are happening normally on our planet and we can't see them, but we have the science now to detect them and interfere with them, and we have places like CERN that are actually trying to open up doorways into different dimensions and things like that, test for particles after the Big Bang Theory. Who's to say that somebody's not manipulating these and opening and closing them to see what could happen? Now, here's where I go with this. I'm former military. Anything you think is cool and this is badass for our planet, this is going to help a lot of people, this will do this, this, and that, it will always be weaponized by the military. Okay? The military will always try to weaponize something. So the days of firing missiles and dropping nukes and things like that would be over. Open a portal, the whole place vanishes. All the army is gone. All the tanks are gone. Their entire weapon system gone. Where did it go? Who knows and who cares? It's gone, right? And then you can just do whatever you want. So there's a lot of things going on here. Let's think back to the Gulf War in 1991. The Patriot missiles, everybody was all in awe of that. And the satellite surveillance that we had back then. They're like, we could see a grapefruit on the ground. And this is 1991. Imagine what they could see on the ground now. So here's my theory. What if people are playing around with this stuff? They have satellite surveillance. They go, oh, look, there's a person. No one's around. Let's open this portal up and see what happens. Boom, they vanish immediately without a trace. No one's around. There's nothing there. Nobody can say anything. Nobody's seen it. And the test is successful. Now let's see how we can make this larger or a larger scale. And we just do this over several years. The last detail that I left it out on purpose, because in David Paulides' research, he found that once somebody is reported missing, it was always happening to where there was a major storm that would come through and prevented people from looking for them. Not every time, but a lot of the times. Just come out of nowhere. Well, we already talked about weather manipulation. That HARP, just type in HARP. It's a large facility that has been in conspiracy theories for the past, who knows, probably 2 decades, that they've been manipulating weather, causing things to happen, causing tsunamis and typhoons, playing around with things they shouldn't. So what if something like this, they have to use it to open up gates, would at the same time cause weather manipulation in order to do that? Charged particles, things like that, opens that doorway, somebody vanishes, and now we have a storm that comes through, which hinders our search. So there's a lot of things going on here, and I tried to make this all tied in as I could, but I don't want to be all over the place, and it kind of sounds like that's what's happening. But if you actually slow down and listen to what I'm saying, all of this information is there, and all of it is relevant. And this is just how my mind works. Like I said, I want to leave aliens out of it. I want to leave all these other things out of this, because if these are naturally occurring things that our military or our government and other governments are aware of, why wouldn't they try to use something like this to their advantage? You know, space travel aside, yes, we've all seen the fold the paper and push the pencil through it, and you can go from A to B in a second versus, 10,000 years to get there. And that's great. That's the fun side. But there's always going to be a weaponized side. And that's the side that you're never going to know about. But bottom line, Google or YouTube search Missing 411, David Paulides, and just listen to some of these stories. They're heartbreaking, man. I mean, you involve 2-year-old kids, things like that, elderly people. One was a forest ranger for 25 years, and she was supposed to go out and set up some camps for some hunters. They showed up. She wasn't there. The camp was half set up, and her dog was left running around. No trace of her at all. And she knew the area, worked there for 25 years. Gone. And like I said, that one that hit home here, the Ohio missing man, I won't say his name, but, all of a sudden just remains show up a couple hundred yards from where his vehicle was after an extensive search. That makes no sense. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on that. Let me fix this fire here, and then I have a call to action for those that want to help. David Politis has got something in mind. He's raising money right now, and he's got permission to actually go into Yellowstone, I believe, and film and retrace steps there and make a documentary. So hold on, let me fix this fire, and we'll be right back. A year ago Christmas, we did that call to action, and we ended up raising $50,000 to the GoFundMe for Wounded Warriors. And I appreciate everyone that gave. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to them. So David Politis has basically a GoFundMe. It's not a GoFundMe, but it's a fundraiser to get the money they need in order to put a camera crew, and boots on the ground to go into the state park and actually look at where these people were, look for clues and evidence, and continue putting the pieces of the puzzle together. My opinion, every game has rules. Life is a game. No matter what you do, your job, where you go 9 to 5, 7 to 3, 6 till 2, whatever your job is, there's rules there. There's rules in life. And this game that he's uncovering has a set of rules. Where people go missing at tend to be around boulders. A lot of them tend to end up, when the ones that they actually find are in water. So there's things like this, and he wants to go there and look at it. This link will be in my video description box. It's called Kickstarter.com, and then you type Missing 411. His fundraiser comes up right there. They have a goal, and if you can give $5, $10, please do so. I've already donated twice. This guy's legit. Like I said, he's an investigator. He really cares about people. He doesn't have to do this. He's retired. He can go do what he wants. But he's choosing to do this, and nobody's paying him to do it. He's doing it on his own. So any help that he can get to get the camera crews out there, get the people trained, and that's the most important thing, get them trained up to go in here for 2 weeks and actually be in the woods, in the brush, looking around, and try and get these cases solved, to me, it's worth it. So again, if you give $5, give $5. You give $10, give $10. Tell them I sent you. Just drop them a note. Tell them that you're praying for him. Tell them that, you hope things work out. Any support you can give him or his family, please do so. Just tell them I sent you. Make things happen. Again, Kickstarter.com, search Missing 411, and that link will be in my video description box. Just click on it, and you'll go right there. I don't know him. He's not a friend of mine. Never talked to him. But again, when I see a legit cause, and I don't care what other people say or think, because guess what? They're not giving to anybody. They're not helping anybody. And the ones that you think should be helping people are only helping themselves. So, in my mind, I can go to sleep at night knowing that I contributed to a cause that's actually going to help people get closure. And that is the best reward for me. So, once again, that link is in my video description box. Click on it. And remember, Corporal didn't kill himself. One last thing. Those that are interested in classes with me, I have 2 classes that are left, April and May. That's with Buckeye Bushcraft here in Ohio. And that link will be in my video description box as well. It's uglytent.com. Once again, uglytent.com. Click on it, sign up, and I'll see you there. On that note, let's go ahead and get out of here. With that, all the gear in my videos can be found in 2 places. 1, my Amazon affiliate page, and 2, my Etsy store. Both links are found inside my video description box. Now, please do me that favor. Hit that like and subscribe button, then ring that notification bell. Once you ring that bell, please select all notifications. And as always, thank you for your comments, views, and support. Thanks for watching. Get out in the field, have some fun. I'm going to catch you next time.